It's Nolan. What's going on, y'all? It's the kid J Nolan here. Now, today we're going to be talking about Dame Dash being forced to auction off, which means completely sell all of his shares remaining in Roc-A-Fella Records, or Roc-A-Fella LLC more specifically, which is, of course, the iconic record label that he started with Jay-Z and their third partner, Biggs Burks. Okay? Now, Dame has maintained ownership in this company since 1995, 96, if I'm not mistaken. As we all know, himself, Jay-Z, and Biggs are all kind of disheveled in their friendship and association. Dame is definitely outcast from the group. I think Jay-Z and Biggs do have more of a relationship today, but they're not as close as they once were. At one point, they had all completely fallen out. And as of today, or as of the last couple of days, Dame Dash is being forced to relinquish all rights to the original company that these guys all started back in those mid-90s. Now, today we're going to get into all of the details as to why, because it's not like Jay-Z is making him do this. As a matter of fact, Jay-Z and Biggs are totally against this situation, despite all of their past issues, all of their past infractions and legal battles that they've had. This is not what they wanted it to come to, right? So just keep a note of that for anybody out there that's like a Rock Nation truther or a conspiracy theorist, or one of those people listening to Nicki Minaj trying to make it seem like Rock Nation is the devil. That has nothing to do with this today, okay? Just want to let it be known early. So here's the story. Embattled music exec Damon Dash was ordered to sell his shares of Roc-A-Fella Records despite objections from co-owner Jay-Z, Radar Online has learned. Now, of course, y'all say, Radar Online, that's some bullshit. Well, there's a lot more reputable publications that have picked this story up since then. I guess they waited some extra time, but Radar Online actually has the court documents and all of that stuff. So some of y'all that feel like they're not reputable, they actually be having some real legit stuff ahead of the game. But to each their own. Furthermore, the New York judge issued the damning verdict after Dash allegedly refused to pay a $823,000 judgment to a movie producer by the name of Josh Weber, who successfully sued him for defamation and copyright infringement following a dispute over the 2016 film Dear Frank. Okay? Now, Dear Frank is a film that came out again in 2016, and it had Columbus Short. It had Claudia Jordan, Tori Hart, Kiki Palmer, sheesh, Lil Durk, T-Mac, and a bunch of other people, Kiara Schroeder. So, not a huge film, but had a recognizable enough cast to where it was able to make a little bit of something, right? Now, again, Jay-Z and Kareem Biggs Burke objected to this auction, claiming that the company bylaws would mandate that the board of directors have to approve his sale, right? So no one person can just all of a sudden decide to leave the company and sell it, which that's a smart move, because then you could just go off and shell out your shares to somebody, some rando, and now they become part of their empire. So they have a mandate that says you can't do that. Unfortunately, due to some technicalities, even that is being overthrown. Okay? Now, in a 15-page decision, U.S. Magistrate Robert W. Lehrberger shut down the claim and ruled Dash's one-third ownership of the Roc-A-Fella is personal property that can be seized to satisfy a judgment. Again, he owes the filmmaker $823,000, which has not been submitted, not been paid. It's acquiring interest at this point, so it's looking a little rough. They state, the question at the core of this instant dispute is whether the Roc-A-Fella bylaws prohibition on transfer and sale of Dash's 1/3 ownership interest in shares of Roc-A-Fella without the consent of Roc-A-Fella's board of directors legally prevents the sale of Dash's interest in Roc-A-Fella to satisfy the judgment. He says the answer is indisputably no. Without jurisdiction to enforce a judgment entered by a federal court, the judicial power would be incomplete and entirely inadequate to the purpose for which it was conferred by the Constitution. Okay? Now, this legal dust-up happened back in 2016, and it pursued up until 2018 when Weber and his Muddy Waters Pictures fired Dash as the film's director. So, after about approximately 2 years of work, which is weird. Nah, that can't be so. The film came out in 2016. So after the film was released, there was 2 years of issues, backlash between them, all right? And Damon was fired as the original director. Now, Dame, he claims that Weber hijacked the footage from him and allegedly claims it was his feature film and began shopping this crime thriller to outlets like BET under a totally different title called The List, right? Now, Dame Dash does have Dame Dash Pictures or whatever he calls his film company. He's got movies like Honor Up and some other projects that he's released. He started his own streaming company with his own music on it, with his own films on it, with all of his own content. But unfortunately, this project was never permitted to be used in conjunction with that whole situation, right? So he tried to go out and get a deal with BET to release the film. Mr. Weber and his team said absolutely not. And Weber successfully sued Dash in federal court, but was unable to collect on the judgment which was issued in 2022. Jay-Z and Biggs Burke entered the fray when Weber tried to confiscate Dash's stake in the record company, whose artists include Kanye West. I don't know why they say Jadakiss. He was a Def Jam artist, not Roc-A-Fella. He's been on Roc Nation. So y'all got to get y'all journalistic integrity up with that. Among other chart-topping rappers. So in real life, Roc-A-Fella had Jay-Z. They had Kanye West. They had Freeway, Memphis Bleak, Young Guns, Tierra Marie. Rihanna was a byproduct of Roc-A-Fella, but not necessarily a direct artist on Roc, but she did collabs. And a host of others. And of course they did soundtracks and stuff like the State Property movies, State Property 1 and 2. Nice catalog, but sorry, Jada. Now, Lehrburger blasted Jay-Z and Burke because the duo adopted a no sell-off clause in 2021 during a board meeting that Dash did not attend nor vote for. So this is where they're getting hemmed up. He ordered Roc-A-Fella to deliver Dash's stock certificate to the U.S. Marshal Service for an auction within 180 days, right? So the problem here is not that they did a no-sale clause, because that would have been ironclad. However, the two, Jay-Z and Kareem Biggs Burke, they entered this agreement without Dame Dash being present. He wasn't there to vote. He wasn't there in presence. Therefore, his vote was not actually tallied, which makes it null and void, because when you have that vote, all three parties have to say aye in order for it to be a pact. So because he wasn't there, and of course he wasn't there because they're not cool, they haven't been around each other in years, they're fucked. Now, to address concerns over the intellectual rights of said record company, Lehrburger says they can participate in the auction and place the winning bid to prevent an outsider from purchasing Roc-A-Fella. So they're saying, you guys are mad about this, but y'all didn't do your no sale clause right, which you guys are supposed to be supreme businessmen. You should have known better. So if you guys want to have the ownership of Dame's shares, all you got to do is bid on the auction. If you win, you can have it to yourselves. You won't even need a third party. Y'all could just have two people owning it. More shares for y'all, more money for y'all. Great. So Mr. Lehrberger's not backing down. Now, as Radar Online reported, Dash 52, who's also engaged in another court battle with his ex-wife, Rachel Roy, in a dispute to get his child support payments reduced to $438 a month from its current $3,000 a month, citing financial hardships and low annual income. Now, I hate to break it to you guys. Dame came out and said he was broke about a month ago. I'm not a pocket watcher, but I see how Dame lives. I see the studios, I see the cameras and all of this stuff that he's putting money in to produce. That man ain't broke. He might be broke compared to a Jay-Z, but he ain't broke compared to somebody like me. Okay, $438 a month, you're stepping into territory of a middle-class nigga, lower the middle-class nigga that just working to get by. Check the check, the check, the check. Now, the check, you might be. But you know you touching hundreds of thousands, if not more, per year, man. Let's cut the shit, okay? Not to mention owning shares in iconic classic music. He's getting paid off that shit yearly. Okay? So, Dame is in a tough spot. Now Jay and Biggs are now in a tough spot. Not to say that Jay don't have the money, but now he's got to make a purchase that he wasn't planning on making. Which, to anyone in that position, would feel like, man, it's some bullshit. And you got to be present at the auction to even make sure that everything goes swimmingly. So that's also going to take time out of his schedule, take time out of his life. He's going to have to be at a specific location that probably isn't even where he's at. I don't think Jay lives in New York no more. So just inconvenience everybody. And all of this is due to an existing debt in which Dame could have just paid homeboy off, started making some sort of good faith payments, gave him 10 racks, 20 racks or something like that, and probably could have saved the vested interest in Roc-A-Fella. Now, why is it so important, right? Well, just a month ago, Dame Dash was bragging about the fact that he still had legal ownership of Rocafella LLC. And he said that he wasn't going to sell it. He was going to revive Roc-A-Fella. And he was doing so with former Roc-A-Fella artist Freeway. They were collaborating on a project. And he was going to sign other artists to be back a part of Roc-A-Fella. He was actually planning on revamping the entire movement. So this is why it's so important to me as somebody who's actually been paying attention to what Dame Dash's plans are. Not to say that he was going to turn it into some multi-million-dollar enterprise all over again, but it's the fact that he had just been doing interviews with multiple different podcast platforms where he said, I still own Roc-A-Fella. And people are like, whoa, how the hell you still own Roc-A-Fella when we thought Jay Ben, had consumed that? And he's like, nah. We're not talking about Roc-A-Fella Inc. We're talking about Rocafella LLC, which is the original company, which still owns a portion of the master rights to Reasonable Doubt, which is another reason why him and Jay-Z had an issue about a year or two ago, because Dame tried to sell his shares, his ownership in Reasonable Doubt as an NFT. Jay-Z vetoed it. His legal team stepped in and said, absolutely not. Therefore, here we are. The fall from grace is far from graceful. Okay, that's what I can say. I still think Dame is dope. I've been saying for a minute he needs to take a break from public appearances, handle some things. If he wants to do podcasts, cool. But when he goes on other people's platforms, he just turns up and he always seems to be on edge. Excuse me. Always seems to be trying to, not necessarily prove something, but prove a point, prove how smart he is or whatever. And I just think at the point that he's at 52 years old, with everything that he's accomplished in the music business, even if you don't like his character or you don't like his brash personality, you can't take away what it is that he did. Jay-Z didn't become who he was without this guy. This is the person who vouched for him for years while record labels was saying, hell no, we don't want the rapping fast guy. So regardless of your stance on Dame, he put a lot of money in, put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in, sweat equity, right? And they put a lot of effort into, at the time in 96, 97, they invested hella bread to let the industry look at them and see how well they were doing without them, right? So by the time Reasonable Doubt was out and they were out touring it and stuff like that and getting ready for In My Lifetime Volume 1, well, actually Streets Is Watching, they put money up to go to like Cancun and go to these different places and get yachts and big ships and whatnot. When they were out performing at the clubs, they were buying out all of the liquor. They were doing all of these different things to let the industry know, we don't need y'all money, right? We need distribution, we need resources, but we don't need your fucking money. And that's what ended up drawing people in. Is like, yo, how are these niggas living like that? How are these niggas pulling all of this off? We need to get down with that. Which also set a precedent for a lot of street rappers to come over the years, right? To try to pull the same sort of stunt with street money or whatever, drug money, wherever it's coming from. Hell, Prohibition whiskey, who knows what the fuck, you know? So that was the brainchild of Dame Dash, Biggs, and Jay. Jay becomes the face today of everything because he's done so much more in recent years. He's become a Dame Dash figure of his own time without having the negative feedback. But at the end of the day, these guys come from the same family tree and they're always going to be connected in that way. All right? Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit the post notification bell for all updates. And I will see y'all on the next one. All right? Much love and respect. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace.
King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. But I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef on computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. But drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some boundaries. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.